Alright. Hi, I'm Luis Young. I'm a first year here at the University of Notre Dame. And to start off this talk, I'd like to present to you a hypothetical situation. So, it's Sunday night. Family gathers around the TV to watch their favorite show. Alright. Where's the remote? Find it. Turn the TV on. Mom, what channel was it? Channel 9? Alright. Ew! No! We're not watching 50 Shades of Grey. Oh my god. 19 kids and counting? Yeah, could do. Don't get any ideas, Dad. Ooh. I have to save this one for later, boys. Big girl this time. Alright. Alright. The Walking Dead. Now, if you're like my family, you're obsessed with this show. I mean, all you do is think about it, talk about it, dream about it. It's an obsession. It's bad. And this not only goes for my family, but it's a reality for many people across America and across the world. In fact, just recently, season 5 of Walking Dead broke cable records by achieving 17.2 million total viewers. And related to the statistic, other zombie movies have done surprisingly well in recent times as well. In fact, I Am Legend 2007, starring Will Smith, was the 7th highest grossing film of that year. World War Z in 2013, starring Brad Pitt, was his highest grossing zombie film ever. And this got me thinking, why is this so? Why are we so immersed in the idea of a zombie-infested world and of the zombie itself? And to me, the answer lies in the fact that film is a means for cultural expression. Now I know what you're thinking. What does that really mean? Well, let me give you an example. In the 1930s, there was an abundance of sensationalist reporting. Sensationalist reporting is essentially reporting that values scandal over accuracy. And as a result, this had the population conditioned for shock appeal, to seek out shock appeal and entertainment, and film, being an entertainment industry, responded to this by coming out with such films such as Dracula, King Kong, and Frankenstein. All 3 films are thrilling, exotic, scary, everything that sensationalist reporting embodies. And thus, film is a means for cultural expression. Now, how does this help us to understand this zombie phenomenon? Well, it helps us understand it in the fact that we can take a better look at why we're obsessed with the zombie, and as you shall see, why the zombie is represented nowadays in the way that it is. Or it wasn't always, the zombie of today wasn't always what populations had conceptualized what the zombie should be. So, in order to better understand the zombie, let's take a step back. Where did the zombie come from? Well, the zombie itself is a legendary creature from the cultural and folkloric traditions of the Dahomey people of West Africa. But it didn't really come about until these people were shipped across the ocean and to serve as slaves in Haiti. For it was there that under just atrocious living conditions and working conditions, they spurred a new subculture within the nation. They were the ones who brought about Haitian voodoo. They were the ones who coined the term voodoo and to use it. And within Haitian voodoo is where we see the first instance of the zombie. Now, the zombie within Haitian voodoo is thought to be a body that's arisen from the dead by an evil sorcerer to do the evil sorcerer's bidding. And now, here we can get a picture of what that's like. When we see this picture, I mean, we don't think of these people as zombies. Nowadays, zombie means a totally different thing for us. Regardless of that, this was represented in the first zombie films. This is White Zombie in 1932, the first zombie film. And being part of that 1930s era where people were conditioned for shock appeal, the White Zombie movie followed the Haitian model for a zombie. the plot consisted of a plantation owner who used a drug to zombify the locals to do his bidding. And you can see it's very correlated to the Haitian model for a zombie. Which brings us back to the other movies and the traits that these consisted of. But White Zombie, like I said, when we think of a zombie, we don't think of this movie, and we surely don't think of a pseudo-slave. So, going off of that, what do we think of when we think of the modern zombie? Well, for one thing, when we think of zombies nowadays, we think of these films, the most recent films. We think of World War Z, The Walking Dead, I Am Legend. And in order to get a better grasp of the modern zombie, let's take a look at what all these zombie films have in common. Or at least what the zombie within these films has in common. Well, in each case, the zombie is brought about through, or transmits itself through biting. As the zombie bites people who are not infected, it transmits the disease and keeps it going across the population. And notice that I mentioned disease. Given that these movies showcase the zombie as a product of disease, the disease, once it gets into the body, it decays it, it rots it, it just mutates it to the point where we know it's hardly even recognizable that this person is ever human. And as a disease, it spreads. And in these zombie films, the disease spreads at a ridiculous rate. It's quite alarming. Here's a picture from World War Z where there's just piles and piles and piles of zombies trying to get over these walls. And going back to the idea that film is a means for cultural expression, what does this say about our society? What does this changing outlook on the zombie say about our changing cultural views? And going back to the questions I asked initially, why are we so enthralled with this zombie, and why is it being represented in this way? Well, the reason being, I argue, is that this is the fact of the matter is that this sort of disease scenario is a very real scenario for our current society, as our weapons that we use to combat disease, our antibiotics, are being less and less effective in the face of mutating pathogens and strains that are constantly emerging. I mean, just recently, in the past few years, we've had, H1N1, Ebola, HIV, the list goes on. And thus, there's this very, very strong cultural anxiety over disease and contagion. And in a world where everything is now more accessible and people are traveling from one end of the world to the other in a matter of hours, it's a very, very scary reality how fast disease can spread. And thus, given this, the zombie films have responded to this by appealing to our anxieties and by emphasizing them and emphasizing this very real fear that we're maybe falling behind in the arms race against pathogens, as pathogens continue to develop resistance and outbreaks continue to happen year by year. Thus, going back to the idea that film is a means for cultural expression, it was my observation that the reason why the zombie subgenre appeals to us, and the reason why the zombie has taken on a new form of representation, is due to our changing anxieties, our changing views and anxieties about contagion and infection.